Everyone has a local park that shaped their childhood. That local park, wherever it is for you, probably has an attraction that's best described as a rite of passage. In the Southeast US, that ride is Monster Mansion. Monster Mansion is the type of attraction that is local legend, but not just that. It should be on every theme park enthusiast bucket list. I recently had the chance to take a lights-on walking tour of this historic attraction and gained an even deeper appreciation for it. Big thanks to Six Flags Over Georgia's animation shop and PR team for making that opportunity possible. Relax and enjoy the ride. This is what makes Monster Mansion at Six Flags Over Georgia so special. A good place to start is with the basics. Monster Mansion is an indoor boat dark ride at Six Flags Over Georgia outside Atlanta. This is a completely custom attraction with original characters, settings, and music that can't be found at any other park. The mansion has more than 100 monster figures. That is quite the collection. Each and every one of them is unique, from lovable creatures to spooky trees and everything in between. The monsters come in all shapes and sizes, being as small as a critter or up to 11 feet high and 15 feet wide. Some animatronics are more complex and animated than others, combining for more than 300 individual movements across all the figures. Being surrounded by that many unique animatronics at once is kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese turned boat ride. It's bizarre in all the best ways. You could ride Monster Mansion over and over and still discover something new every time. Before diving into the ride's details, here's a quick look at its story. Yes, Monster Mansion actually has a thought-out story. It's more than just a bunch of random animatronics. The attraction takes place, of course, at a mansion overrun by monsters. That's because the mansion's beneficiary, who was on the monster side of the family, opened its doors generations ago to delightful freaks without a place to call home. Monsters, as you may expect, are not neat and tidy creatures. So, when a fictional flash flood hit the property in 1973, the main floor and manor grounds have been swamped ever since. That's just a day in the life of monsters. They couldn't care less. But one thing about monsters is they know how to party. When monsters throw a picnic, they go all out. Lucky for us humans, the monsters have invited us to their monster picnic. The story picks up in the ride as humans join the friendly monsters at the mansion. Our boats float into the flooded mansion where the hostess, Mizzy Scarlet, welcomes us humans to the picnic but warns about the scary old marsh. Never mind that for now. The stream flows through the mansion door and to the lawn where the festivities are. The local marshal, Billy Bob Fritter, greets the humans and urges to steer clear of the marsh. Cruising by all the picnic activities, the humans approach a graveyard where the river splits, straight to return to the mansion or left to that scary old marsh. Well, something goes wrong in all the best theme park stories. Right on cue, the boat drifts into the darkness where the monsters aren't as friendly. Threatening monsters of all kinds snarl from every which direction. Just when it seems like there's no escape, Marshal Billy Bob Fritter saves the day by blasting a cannon at the marsh creatures. The boat returns safely to the mansion grounds where Mizzy Scarlet wishes riders goodbye, a bit of a bookend to the story. Many more details in a bit, but that's the story of Monster Mansion in a nutshell. The real story of how the ride was built is an interesting one as well. Monster Mansion's history goes all the way back to the park's opening day in 1967. Back then, the ride now known as Monster Mansion was an original attraction called Tales of the Okefenokee. Monster Mansion still uses the Tales of the Okefenokee layout and ride system, which was manufactured by the legendary Aero Development. Functionally, Monster Mansion is an opening day ride, just with a different theme nowadays. But focusing back on Tales of the Okefenokee, the original version of that ride didn't catch on. So Six Flags hired Sid and Marty Krofft, up-and-coming children's entertainment producers, to work their magic and redesign the attraction. The reimagined Tales of the Okefenokee, which opened for the park's sophomore season in 1968, was a huge improvement. The Krofft version of the ride entertained guests for the next decade plus until its closure in 1980. That off-season, the ride would undergo its biggest transformation yet, a complete monster makeover. This was quite the investment for Six Flags, being the most expensive ride in the park's history at that time, even more so than Great American Scream Machine. It was going to be a top-quality attraction. Aside from using the existing ride system from Tales of the Okefenokee, the attraction was completely modified in every way imaginable. Six Flags hired accomplished industry professionals, such as former Imagineers among other creative minds, to fully overhaul the ride with a new monster theme. One of those creative minds was illustrator Phil Mendez, who sketched hundreds of original monster designs for the new attraction. Most of those characters never left the sketchpad, but more than 100 designs were adapted into animatronics by AVG Productions. That was a remarkable number of figures for a regional park, especially in the 80s. The result was a lively, lovable ride that became a fan favorite to be found only at Six Flags Over Georgia for decades to come. Before the 2009 season, Six Flags brought back some of the original crew and some new faces to renovate the nearly 30-year-old attraction as the Monster Mansion we all know and love today. But that's not where the story ends. As you can see, a lot of truly great talents have had a hand in this ride, having connections to the Kroft brothers and Imagineers. That quality has stood the test of time, making it a lasting, multi-generational attraction too special to replace. Thankfully, the park understands how iconic Monster Mansion is and loves it as much as fans do. Six Flags has made that clear by investing in the ride to refresh it in recent years. The park's animation shop has been hard at work maintaining and modernizing the mansion. A ride with this many moving parts needs a lot of fine-tuning. The crew is doing exactly that and then some. These are passionate and talented folks who put just as much care into the ride as the original creators did. This involves day-to-day maintenance but also major improvements, making the ride look better than ever. Starting with major improvements, two noteworthy features have been added for the 2026 season. Inside the mansion, a new monster in a clawfoot bathtub is crashing through the ceiling, adding to the flooded mansion setting. This addition was inspired by concept art in the park's archives, and it's the kind of chaos you could expect in a home overrun by monsters. The next 2026 edition is more of a comeback. The ride originally had two square dancing monsters in front of the country band, but they were removed decades ago, never to be seen again until now. As of 2026, those little monsters are square dancing once again. The characters have returned as newly designed figures, built in-house, and installed on the original turntable base. Six Flags' animation shop has restored many other long-lost features in Monster Mansion. For example, the neck movement of this monster bird in the corner was previously deactivated, but has recently been repaired. It wasn't an easy fix, but small movements like this help the ride feel more alive. The crew understands that as much as anyone and puts in the effort to revive even the smallest details. Another example is the headstone in the graveyard scene. The moving features of this figure were deactivated and sealed off during a previous refurbishment, but the animation shop has rehabilitated the headstone back into working condition, now with a new crow animatronic atop its hat. The crew is still in the process of restoring the ride's largest effect. The Boat Eater monster at the end of the ride was designed to lean forward as if closing its mouth on riders. In a previous refurbishment years ago, the figure's mechanisms were intentionally filled with concrete to permanently deactivate any motion. Well, the animation shop has been hard at work undoing that damage by jackhammering away the concrete, repairing that motion back to its original design. Inside the monster's mouth, the throat tunnel has been recently plussed up with new textures and a fresh coat of paint. All around, the work has been far from easy, but emphasizes how dedicated this team is to making sure Monster Mansion is in tip-top shape. They'll go as far to actually jackhammer concrete to get a long-forgotten effect back up and running. The crew isn't afraid to get their hands dirty, but that's what it takes to keep the mansion clean. If you've noticed the ride overall is more colorful and fresher these days, part of that is because Six Flags has partnered with the Kincaid Character Company to update the monster's fur and outfits. Replacing the fur and costumes is an ongoing project, and the goal is for all the monsters to look their very best in the near future. With the new fur, the figures aren't just plainly colored monsters. The material, if you look closely, has high quality textures and patterns. Point being, the job is being done right. The crew even covers the rear side of the animatronics, seen or unseen, because it's the right thing to do. The hand-sewn costumes have intricate patterns, such as the monster musician uniforms being tailor-made with paneled stripes. These monster scouts have custom patches that commemorate the ride's opening year. When updating fur and outfits, the crew refers back to Phil Mendes's concept art to preserve the original spirit of the ride. That's why Mizzy Scarlet wears real Chuck Taylors, because that's how she was imagined all those years ago. By respecting the attraction's original design, the animation shop has refreshed and modernized the ride's subtle characteristics with care. For example, the crew has touched up this serpentine body in the marsh. That snake-like figure, which leads to the swamp serpent monster around the corner, used to blend in with the dark vines, but has since been repainted to stand out. In recent off-seasons, the crew has enhanced the marsh with blacklight paint. This is a dark scene by design that can't rely on lights too much, because that could illuminate the entire area. Instead, blacklight paint highlights only what needs to be seen. Blacklight paint can be tricky because the colors can react differently depending on the distance from the light source. It can easily look too fluorescent like a laser tag arena if not mixed carefully. With this in mind, the team blended colors to get the right tone and tested the results at different distances for colorful but not fluorescent monsters. The marsh now looks creepy yet crisp thanks to that attention to detail. On the topic of lighting and colors, the crew repositioned all the lighting hardware to bring out the characters, especially those once hidden marsh monsters. The project took time but was worth it to spotlight the monsters while also allowing for easier upkeep for a consistently brighter ride. Sometimes the smallest tweaks can make the biggest difference. Paper lanterns have been strung throughout the picnic scenes, now with flickering lights to give it that natural backyard party look. The crew spruced up the yard too, installing 3,000 square feet of new artificial turf. They also rearranged decorative landscaping around the figures for more accessible maintenance. Easier maintenance means the monsters will be at their best more often. Riders might not care about or even notice those logistical adjustments, but those are the subtle updates that help keep the attraction in great condition. The team polished the ride's audio too. The individual tracks can be heard directly from their source, not all played at once overhead. If a rider hears dialogue from the left, they can look left and see the monster making that sound. This gives the ride a realistic 360-degree directional audio effect like a soundscape. For instance, the band's music will get quieter as the boat drifts farther away. Many of the audio clips have been reprogrammed to play only when activated, not continuously on an endless loop. That way, specific sound effects or lines of dialogue can be heard more clearly, not playing all at once. Not to be missed, many of the animatronics are moving very fluidly these days. The crew installed new show controllers for full operation of every animatronic. Many of the monsters are as animated as ever, such as the Lagoon Goons being nicely synchronized to their music. Their puffed cheeks and quick fingers make their performance more believable. Monster Mansion is in great hands with the folks at Six Flags' animation shop. They take pride in their work and honor what the attraction was designed to be. Whether by restoring animatronics or simply adjusting the lighting, the crew makes sure Monster Mansion puts a smile on everyone's face. If you haven't been on Monster Mansion in a few years or ever, now is the perfect time to check out this well-cared-for ride. To learn more about the crew, the YouTube channel Viewist has a wonderful video highlighting their efforts. This is the level of care that keeps the ride running exactly how you remember it as a kid, but always with something new to appreciate. The best part is, the job is never finished. The next time you ride Monster Mansion, you'll probably notice something new or updated. Time to see how all that hard work comes together. Here's an overview of the characters, hidden Easter eggs, and clever effects of Monster Mansion. Let's get a closer look at some of the ride's monster animatronics. Approaching the entrance, the first character you'll see is a little green dragon-like monster, Buzzby. Side note, Monster Mansion's sign has such a delightful, hand-carved quality to it. Back to Busby, this huggable, propeller hat-wearing monster is kind of the ride's mascot, even being featured on a mural at the front of the park. In the ride, he's seen flying overhead in the first picnic scene and waves goodbye at the end. Inside the mansion, Mizzy Scarlet is the first recurring character seen in the ride. Oh, and her pet Tatty too as well. Mizzy, being a great-granddaughter on the monster side of the family mentioned earlier, is probably the most humanoid character in the ride, and her southern hospitality sets the tone. Just as welcoming are the brat babies floating from balloons while holding the Welcome Humans banner. Aren't they cute? There goes Marshal Billy Bob Fritter, another recurring character. His companion Fritterbitter is a bit snappy. It must have missed the memo that humans are allowed today. This area has a lot of monster rugrats, one snout to snout with a gopher, a pair playing on a hill, a skittish one trembling by its mom, and a few prankster monster scouts having a bit of fun. These monster kids are swinging with their elder from a tree. That effect is supposedly among the ride's most challenging motions to fine-tune. Nearby, this dog-like monster, appropriately named Rosie by the crew, sniffs a flower. As Rosie inhales, the flower petals sway inward toward her snout. The interactions between the mechanisms are a clever visual gag, one of many throughout the ride. Hey, one of those monster kids is playing ring toss on her tail. Around the bend is a monster named Honeysuckle puckered up at a kissing booth, waiting for a customer. She has a good deal too, free. This part of the picnic is a bit more hectic with games and activities. These monsters playing horseshoes have many moving parts for the animation shop to keep up with. The motion adds a lot to the kinetics in this scene. Also on this side of the picnic are monsters bobbing for apples, the square dancing anteater monsters back in action, a country band, a game of Hit the Human, a monster skateboarding around the big monster on campus, and a Monster High Striker game. Across the way, a monster swipes at another's ice cream cone as a pair of cheerleaders celebrate. If you look closely, one of them is wearing a birthday badge. Happy birthday! In the back, a few monsters rev a motorcycle stuck in the mud from all the weight, while a beaked gardener Thurston fumbles with a hose. This strange fella off to the side is flashing a Monster Power t-shirt. In the marsh, greedy monsters scrabble over their golden treasure, swamp rats hunch over the waterway, and a stump pops up to yell at the humans in the marsh. By the way, Boggy Boy's upward motion is another recently renovated effect. The moment is interrupted by a deep rumble as the EE Ratigator rises from the swamp with water dripping from its snout. The boat turns a corner where more swamp rats and tree trunks with gnarled faces crowd the marsh. Tree branches reach out to the humans, and a small monster slithers from a pipe. That was a closer look at the ride's many monsters with more on the way, but the mansion has even more details to uncover. Keep a close eye and ear out for all the Easter eggs hidden throughout Monster Mansion. The first scene is full of references, beginning with the new entryway posters that, in fine print, mention AVG Productions, the company that manufactured the original animatronics. The bookshelf just inside has plenty of nods to creatives who have worked on this ride, as well as monsterfied pop culture references like Alice in Monsterland or The Monster of Oz. Take a look around Paparazzi, the photographer monster, and you'll notice photos from Six Flags Over Georgia's history. The mansion is also decorated with plenty of the ride's original concept art, including some picnic scenes and that scary old marsh. On the topic of wall decor, a portrait of the characters from the former Tales of the Okefenokee ride is on display by the fireplace. Monster Mansion has a few more callbacks to Tales of the Okefenokee. In the marsh, fans might recognize the "Beware" and "Go Back" dialogue in the style of the Okefenokee characters. This is new audio voiced by Douglas Kincaid of the Kincaid Character Company. And finally, for the Okefenokee, a couple no fishing signs around the mansion are in the spirit of the former ride's opening scene. Monster Mansion references another defunct Six Flags Over Georgia attraction, not just Tales of the Okefenokee. A few Easter eggs pay tribute to the former animatronic musical show Bullfrog Bayou Revue, which ran through the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, and was also produced by AVG Productions. In the first picnic scene, the mother monster singing a lullaby to her baby is actually the voice of Polly from Bullfrog Bayou Revue. The audio was repurposed from old recordings in the park's archives. A frog-sized recreation of the set from Bullfrog Bayou Revue, fabricated in-house by the animation shop, now sits in a pond toward the end of the marsh. Ironically, this same pond was used for a frog scene back in the Okefenokee days. And the final Bullfrog Bayou Revue Easter egg is a simple wayfinding sign just after Billy Bob and Fritterbitter fire the cannon. Before moving on from Easter eggs, Monster Mansion has a few more gags and references. The singing mother mentioned earlier knows how to accessorize with her bag by Ghoulie Vuitton. The two fishin' fools in the graveyard seem to be having their own party, but take notice of their magazine. It's not Field and Stream, but rather Field and Scream. How else would they read up on how to catch a monster fish? The graveyard has several references to former employees, and even a local Georgia College sports nod as a tombstone in the back reads, "How about them dogs?" The mansion has plenty more Easter eggs not mentioned here, so be on the lookout next time you ride. The effects in Monster Mansion are worth appreciating. First up, the music. Monster Mansion has an original soundtrack that starts with the ride's theme song outside at the load area. The catchy melody continues throughout the attraction, progressing in different genres. Inside the mansion, a ragtime piano picks up the same tune, now instrumentally. In the picnic scenes, a hot jazz band and a country band play the theme in their distinct styles. The only time this trend breaks is in the marsh. The tone shifts into a horror-style soundtrack. The music, composed by the late Dick Hamilton, seamlessly evolves from scene to scene. Hamilton has a few small audio cameos, voicing ad-libs in the ride's theme and the squawking monster birds. Onto the ride's visual effects, the picnic scenes have a lot of kinetics. Amphibian monsters, who are supposedly close friends with the Bullfrog Bayou Revue cast, spout water over the ride path. This baby in a rocking carriage is drinking from a bubbly bottle, which is another restored effect. At the chili cook-off, this monster's mouth is ablaze from a spicy bite. The flame has a satisfying lighting effect similar to Mizzy's fireplace. Thankfully, a monster firefighter is ready to put it out. Beyond the visuals, some effects let you smell what's happening. Monster Mansion has that classic boat ride air that's nostalgic for a lot of fans, but it has a themed scent as well. By the pie eating contest, riders might catch a whiff of strawberries, while poor Burnoggle hacks on an entire pie. That strawberry scent is a nice touch that adds to the ambience. The graveyard scene has some little effects, such as the smoldering ashes by the oblivious fishin' fools and the exhaust from Billy Bob's patrol car. At the edge of this scene, a decoy boat might trick some riders into thinking the ride path goes straight ahead. The waterway instead turns left, where an animated face projected in the mist lures riders into the marsh. This part goes up a small lift and down a small drop. In the marsh, a flashlight effect frantically dashes around the darkness, shining on an imposing ogre. This monster is called the Gangenbacher and was named after one of the ride's original creatives who designed the boats. The inspiration for this new flashlight effect came about by chance when the crew was working in that scene using flashlights to look around. That's when they had the idea. The effect was then programmed with two light sources, one at the beginning and a second to continue it farther down. As an aside, this scene also has a crashed boat off to the side, a warning sign for the dangers inside the marsh. The final effect to be mentioned is a tough one to spot. Once Billy Bob and the soot-covered Fritterbitter save the day, smoke fires from the cannon. But look closely. You might spot a smoke ring effect in the air. It's rare, but it can happen. If you missed it, don't worry, the effect didn't pick up well on camera, so here it is one more time. Monster Mansion is a one-of-a-kind ride that is, without a doubt, a fan favorite. The mansion is so beloved that its influence can occasionally be spotted around the park with meet-and-greet characters, a seasonal puppet show, and merchandise. It has been a lovable ride for more than 40 years and counting, gaining a following only a standout ride could have. Monster Mansion has inspired loving tributes by artists, which just goes to show how much the creativity and charm of this ride have impacted the community. Wow. The park itself is special and historic too. Six Flags Over Georgia opened in 1967 as the second of 3 original Six Flags parks built from the ground up. The park has a mix of opening day and traditional attractions, as well as modern thrills for the whole family. Its classic attractions are well cared for, being updated as Monster Mansion is. Its newest coaster, Georgia Gold Rusher, has a bit of theming and craftsmanship that fits into the park's hometown feel. Many areas of the park have a wooded setting, giving it a timeless charm. A good place to relive old memories and make new ones too. Only at Six Flags Over Georgia can you see more than 100 monster figures in a historic dark ride and coast up 200 feet in the same park. So, what makes Monster Mansion so special? This ride is memorable thanks to the people past and present who keep it running. If you haven't already made memories on this ride, you will. Come see for yourself. You're invited to a monster picnic. After exploring Monster Mansion, which monster is your favorite? Continue the conversation down in the comments. A big thank you to Six Flags and the Monster Mansion crew for a lights-on tour of the attraction. It was an honor. Special thanks to the Storybook Amusement patrons. Shout out to the producer credits Parallel Discover and Nick E. For more, follow Storybook Amusement on social media and Patreon. Find all the links in the description and check out these other videos while you're here. Thanks everyone for watching. You make projects like this possible, and I'll always appreciate that. Thank you, and stay out of the marsh.